Hi there, I'm Jane from Early Works, and I'd just like to welcome you to our webinar, Critically Reflecting in Early Works. Okay, well, critical reflection seems to be quite important in the context of early childhood education and care. According to the EYLF, My Time, Our Place, and the National Quality Standards, reflective practice is central to what we do as educators. So basically, reflective practice offers us a way to think about how we bring theory and practice together in our role as educators. It helps us to learn from our experiences and aim for continuous improvement. It also helps us to ask difficult questions such as, are my practices based on the latest thinking and research or on personal beliefs, or do I do what I do because that's the way it's always been done, or that's how everyone else does things around here. Also, according to My Time, Our Place and the EYLF, implementing practices without theory or knowledge is not professional. And I'm guessing we'd be pretty horrified to think that our GP or the pilot of a plane we're about to board isn't informed by theory. So I suppose it makes sense that as professional educators, we need to ensure that our actions are also informed by theory. So in Early Works, there are three ways, basically, of evidencing critical reflection. And in this webinar, I'll be taking you through each of these, and it's all pretty simple, actually. The first is using Early Works Reflections of Pedagogy, and the Reflections of Pedagogy is really a space for individual reflection. The second way of evidencing critical reflection in Early Works is by using Early Works program comments, and this is more a space for team reflection and discussion. And then finally, the third way of critically reflecting in Early Works is by using the evaluation of experiences in your program. So I'm going to take you through each of those. So the first one, Reflections of Pedagogy, you can access from admin. So if I just hover over admin and come down to View Reflections of Pedagogy and click on that, I'll get a list of all of my reflections. I've logged on as an administrator this time. So as administrator, I can see everyone's reflections. As educators, you can only see your own reflections of pedagogy. So it's important to know that other educators won't be able to see your reflections, only those that have administrator access, which is usually your education leader or director or centre manager. So the person that's likely to be giving you feedback on your reflections anyway. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples here just to illustrate how you would use Early Works Reflections of Pedagogy. So I'll start with this one here. Okay, so this is how the screen looks for your reflections. Basically, the first thing you do is choose the program that you're reflecting on. So you would just click this downward arrow here and all of the programs to which you have access will come up. So this person's reflecting on their February program. Then you would reflect on, or you would choose the principle, practice and standard that is most relevant to your reflection. Sometimes you can tick this before you get started. It might be very clear to you before you start, or other times you might actually tick this when you're finished, when it becomes clear, because sometimes we're not clear when we first start reflecting. So this reflection is from an OSH context, so out of school care, and I'll just go through the first, the reflection of the educator. So in the first box, this is where you as educator would type in your reflection. Then the second box here, manager's feedback, is where your education leader or manager or director or whoever does your feedback would provide feedback. And then this third box, we only added this about 6 months ago. And the reason we added this was to really encourage educators to follow through with your critical reflection, because the feedback that we've had from services that have been rated and assessed since the changes were made last year in February is that there is an even greater emphasis now, not just on critical reflection, but evidence of change in your practice or how your pedagogy has changed as a result of your critical reflection. So it's not enough just to critically reflect. We need to have evidence of change happening as a result of that. So that's why we've added this educator's response box for you to be able to evidence that in Early Works. So this person has been reflecting on their signing in process. So they've said, I've been worried about our signing in process for the children in the afternoons. This is always such a hectic time. Yesterday afternoon, I was so busy ticking names off that I didn't even look up and make eye contact with some of the children. They had moved on by the time I lifted my eyes from the list. If developing secure and respectful relationships is so important to us, then we need to make our sign-in process less mechanical and impersonal. I strongly believe in the importance of developing and nurturing relationships. I also believe in children's capacity to be active participants and decision makers in their learning. So I'm wondering if we could open this issue up to the children, maybe ask them what they think about the current sign-in process and how we might change it. So there's the educator's reflection there. Then the manager's feedback is in the next box. Thank you for this insightful reflection, Shannon. I couldn't agree more. I really like your idea of involving the children in hearing what they have to say about the current sign-in system and hearing what they like and don't like about it and hearing about their solutions. This fits with our philosophy that is influenced by Yuri Brofenbrenner's ecological theory. If we recognise the connectedness between mind, body and spirit, then I think we need to ensure that we nurture the spirit in each child, and we can only do that by truly engaging with each child when they arrive at our service. This means making eye contact. It also fits with our belief that the OSH environment needs to be welcoming. From your observation, we can definitely do better here. Maybe we could open this up to the children at our group meeting next week. What do you think? So here you can see that the manager has kind of led the educator then into taking this a step further by linking it to theory. So this is something at a service level that you might like to chat with your other educators about, is how you ensure that your reflections, not only are they deep enough to bring about change, but they also link in, not every time, but when it's appropriate, with theory and also your centre's philosophy, which has happened here. Then the educator's response underneath, I hadn't thought about the connection to ecological theory. Yes, in order for the spirit to thrive in the child, we need to be nurturing that spirit, and it starts with a warm welcome. I have included your ideas in next week's program. We will talk about the sign-in process at the OSH group chat on Monday and open it up to the children. I'm thinking we might put the children into smaller mixed age groups and get them to brainstorm their ideas on butcher's paper, and then we can share them all next week. Then we can hopefully come up with a solution that is owned by everyone. This fits with our philosophy that children have a sense of belonging. By children being active participants in decision making, I believe we're going a long way towards creating an environment in which every child feels that they are listened to and they belong. As you hear that, you're probably thinking, goodness me, does that person, like how often would you need to do a reflection like that? That is something for you to decide as a service. That's not really an early works decision. However, my thinking is that that's a really quite a profound reflection, and one that is probably going to result in significant change and continue on for a while. So my expectation wouldn't be that educators would be churning out reflections of this quality every week. I think this is something that once, this is worked through, then the educator might then respond on something else. And that might take a number of weeks to work through the issues that have been brought up in this particular reflection. So something else that you'll notice on the reflection and pedagogy screen is this extend button. What that does is allows you to use your reflection as a narrative in an observation, so then it can inform the program. So if I click on this extend, what happens is I get the option then to add this as an observation. I can then, and then it will, the narrative field will be filled in by my comment here, then, or my reflection there, I should say. And then if I want to, once I've saved this, I can edit it because there might be bits in there that I don't want to include in the observation, and then I can build on that then with the next experience, and it will be saved in the February program. The other nice thing about this is that in the title, it will say Extended from Personal Reflection by Shannon Watson. So there's your evidence of your reflections influencing and changing your program, so changing your practice. So have a play with that function, the extend function, and you'll notice, those of you that have been using EarlyWorks for a little while will notice that that little green extend button comes up in a few different places where you're adding comments into EarlyWorks. The other option that you've got down here is to include this reflection in the quick evidence list. So if you or your education leader thinks that this reflection could be used as evidence for one of the quality areas, then you tick this box and it will be included in the quick evidence list. So it won't go directly into the quick, just to the evidence list, and it will go in under the quality area there that you have ticked. So that's reflections of pedagogy. Now I'm going to show you the second way that you can evidence critical reflection in EarlyWorks, and that's by using the program comments function. So to get to that, I just click on programs, and then I click on the name of the program that I want to add a comment to. So I'm going to click on the June program, so I just click on that. Then the Edit Program screen comes up. So this is the screen where if you wanted to view your room outcomes, or you want to change the status of the program from active to inactive, if you want to archive the program for a little while, you can do that from there as well. But what we're looking for is the comments. So I just click on the Comments tab. And you can see that educators have already started chatting here about how the program is going. So this is really a space for you to use however you would like to use it. A lot of services will use the comments as a way of educators communicating with each other, particularly if they're part-time. So you might have educators that are there on Monday and Tuesday and then another educator on Wednesday. Then you can communicate and have a chat about what's been happening in the room in the first part of the week, so that you have that lovely continuity. It also nicely evidences 4.2.1 professional collaboration. So a lot of the conversations that might happen in the program comments could be conversations that we engage in regularly verbally, but this allows us to have a record of those conversations. And it's important for you to know who can access these comments. Basically, only educators who are linked to the room can see these, and administrators. Families cannot see program comments. So I'll just give you an example here of how these educators have used the program comments. The children were amazing today at both naming colours and identifying beginning sounds. When I read brown bear, I was amazed to find that most of the children were able to correctly identify the colours of the animals in the story. This was after we had read the story, which does name the colours, but it made me think that now might be a good time to explore colour, maybe with the colour of the week. So you can see here this educator's thinking ahead about what direction you might take the program from here. And if I wanted to reply to that comment, I would just click on reply and I could reply to it. And one of the other educators already has, and has said, that's a really good idea, Emily. We have been focusing so much on getting the veggie patch up and running that I don't think I've been noticing the children's milestones so much, including naming colours. I think having a colour of the week is a great idea. Maybe we could add that to our calendar too, so that the families know and can follow up at home. So you can see here that this discussion is really, it's both reflective and it's also clearly going to have an impact on the program for the following weeks. So it's a lovely, safe space for educators to be able to chat about what's going on and critically reflect on the program. And just as you could with the reflections of pedagogy, you have the option of using the extend function. And again, it'll be clear where this narrative has come from, extended from program comment by Shannon Watson. So then you've got evidence to show that you are using that professional collaboration to inform the program. So it's not just your room leader deciding what's going to happen, it's a collaborative project amongst all of the educators in the room. So that is program comments. Now, if you're wanting to print either your reflections of pedagogy or the program comments, if you just click on view program, or not click on view program, click on the arrow next to view program, then you have some print options here. So you can print your reflections, so your own, you can only print your own reflections of pedagogy, or if you're administrator, you could print other educators as well, but you can also print the comments if you want to. So if for whatever reason you want to print those, then you can. So that's that for program comments. The final way that you can critically reflect in early works is through the evaluation of an experience. So to illustrate that, I'm just going to take you into experiences for the June program. And under evaluation here, we can see that there are two kinds of evaluation. There are links here, and these links take you to either a journal or an observation of this particular experience. And that's where we would be evaluating the children's learning. So that the focus in your in these evaluations is of the children's learning. If you're wanting to actually evaluate how effective the experience was in achieving the intended outcome, so here you're really focusing on the experience rather than the children's learning outcomes, although the two are obviously linked, then you can do that in the evaluation of experience. So what I'll do is maybe just take you into one here so you can see. So this is where you would do the evaluation in the evaluation of experience box, which is in your experience, edit experience screen. So this educator has said, and this was about planting out seedlings, I think, in a veggie patch. This experience resulted in some unexpected outcomes, such as awareness of fairness, sharing out the seedlings to plant, and transferring of knowledge from one context to another. So needing a scarecrow, as one of the children's uncles has a scarecrow on his orchard. The seedlings waiting to be planted acted as a really effective provocation. There was so much interest generated and lots of wondering. It would be good to think about how we build on this with other experiences where the materials can be left for the children to explore and be curious about. So you can see here that the focus of this evaluation is really on the actual experience rather than the children's learning. And sometimes you might feel, oh, you could do that in the program comments. You could, but it's just if you want to make it clear that that evaluation just relates to this experience, then you can do it in the evaluation of experience. So there could be a little bit of overlap in the way that you use the program comments for the evaluation of experience, and that is fine as long as you are evidencing that the critical reflection, it really isn't that important where it happens as long as it's there. So I'll just show you how that looks then on the program. So if we go back to program list and we'll view the June program, and you can see that the evaluation comes up here in the evaluation column. And just remember that families, when they view early works, they don't see the evaluation column at all. They have no access to this. So when you're evaluating experiences, that won't be made visible to your families. The only people who will see that evaluation are educators assigned to the room and administrators. And then you can see that you've got all of the evaluations there in the program. Okay, well, I hope you found that webinar helpful. Basically, we just went through 3 ways of evidencing critical reflection in early works. The first was using the reflections of pedagogy. The second was using program comments. And the third was by using the evaluation of experiences. Hopefully, that's opened your eyes a little bit as to how you can use early works to evidence critical reflection. If you have any queries at all, please don't hesitate to email us, and you can use the email address support@earlyworks.net.au, or if you'd like to ring up and have a chat, that's fine too. You can contact us on 08 6262 7799. Thank you.